Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I've got another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play this video and talk about things that are going on, a bit explain what's going on, and talk about things that I think that are being done right and or done wrong. This is an incident from July of 2024 in Albuquerque. This is an article from KOB4. So 17-year-old Nathaniel Martinez was arrested for shooting a security guard at the Coranado Mall. Police received the report of the shooting just before 1 p.m. on Friday near the Fuddruckers restaurant. An initial investigation found it all started when employees called mall security about a teen sleeping inside the restaurant. When security arrived, they woke the teen up and escorted him outside, where an argument ensued. Then, police say the teen backed away, turned toward the mall, and fired 3 gunshots at one of the guards before running away. Officers arrived, obtained a description of the suspect, and found him at a nearby bus stop. They followed the suspect across Louisiana Boulevard and apprehended him behind a building. Police identified the suspect as a 17-year-old male. Officers say they saw him throw a gun under a car before he was apprehended. They recovered the gun. The guard was found by medics to be awake and alert, and he was treated at the hospital for non-life-threatening gunshot wound to the calf. Police say they found some of the bullets hit the building. This is the 4th shooting incident to happen on the Coronado Mall premises over the last year or so. The last 3 shootings, including Friday, all involved someone under the age of 18 with a gun. A 16-year-old was arrested in May for firing a single gunshot as he exited the food court. The incident happened March 30, and no one was injured. A 15-year-old was arrested 2 days after he allegedly fired a gunshot outside the property and then ran away. A photo showed him running through the mall with a gun in hand. No one was injured. APD spokesperson Gilbert Gallegos acknowledged this during his briefing. The one thing in common with every one of them is kids with a gun. Now we have that again. It's very concerning. Obviously, the chief, the sheriff, and the district attorney have all been talking about this issue over and over and over again, and that's juveniles with guns. We're seeing way too much of it. Gallegos said they're exploring the idea of getting shot spotter technology at the mall, in addition to what they already have in the uptown area. He also said juvenile crime would be a topic of concern during the governor's town hall on public safety in Albuquerque, set to take place Monday. Nathaniel Martinez was facing the following charges of aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, 2 counts of aggravated assault, brandishing a firearm, shooting at a dwelling or occupied building, tampering with evidence, unlawful possession of a firearm, resisting, eluding, or obstructing an officer. All right, so let's go jump into the video real quick. All right, so this video was posted on the YouTube channel Mr. Crime. That's MR Crime. I don't know what's up with Albuquerque. I don't know if it's just they have a site where they post this stuff and it's just hard to find, or they just don't post it at all and they just give it to news media outlets or people that request it. Could not find the original footage from an agency or anything like that. And some of the videos that I've done here recently, it has been the same. I've had to use footage from a news entity covering a briefing of an incident and could not find an actual agency released footage. So shout out to Mr. Crime on YouTube for this footage. So this is a body cam footage from an officer as he is going into a store, Foot Locker. So it looks like from the news article, the incident occurred outside, and at some point, security made his way to the inside of this store. And I don't know anything about this mall in relation to where Foot Locker is, to where this Fuddruckers restaurant is. It could be right next door to it. I have no idea. But it's obvious that the security guard made it from the outside to the inside. So let's start this video.
Here, guys, I got a camera here. Give me one of your bandages. Give me one of your. You all right, buddy? Stand 45 here. All the way up here. Stand 45, Pity. 10 through the air.
What's your name?
I'm inside Foot Locker, inside Coranado Mall. I got one security officer, gunshot wound in the leg. You can advise 4355. Team secure for them to step up here. Brother, you'll be all right, dude. Okay, we got help coming now. Okay.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I hope so.
Building where you're at.
At least it was in the cafe.
Yeah.
Element by Weston Hotel, that new one in their building. They have Hispanic male, 25 to 36 foot, blue bandana around his neck, unknown color shirt with blue jeans, gray handgun.
Hey, police department, you good, man? You see anybody with a gun? Stand up for me, dude. I just need to make sure you don't have a gun. Can you stand up for me, please? Police department. Put your hands on your head. Stop! He's running. Running, going west. Correction, eastbound. Do it now! You put something under the car. Guns under there.
It's under there. It's under there.
The Element by Weston Hotel said knowing that they're building just east of the mall. Let's do a pat down. Hey, come here. Let's do a pat down. Sit up for me, dude. Sit up. You have any other weapons on you, man?
Where's the victim?
No, I don't think so.
Are you shot, dude?
I'm here looking. Turn to the blood.
I got bullets on me.
Alright. Hang on, dude.
Take a leg in.
I got
Tuck
bullets
your
on
leg
me.
in. Let's stand up.
Stand up.
1,
Where's the
2,
offender?
3. Who's in it? Let's put him in over here.
Just east part of Louisiana. Suspect supposed to have a beanie on.
Let me try to get him ID.
At the moment.
Out of the mall, the guy was getting a 39 with him, and then next thing we know, he's yelling shots fired.
He's yelling shots
Yeah.
fired? Do you guys have cameras of the incident?
We do have cameras. I don't know if we have anything on the incident. We haven't been able to look yet.
Are you gonna go to, do you mind going to the security office real quick and meet you down there?
They are talking to our witness outside.
Hi, how are you?
You're gonna talk to the people inside?
Yeah, who's the manager?
I'm the owner, the manager's Matt.
Oh, I need you then. So, was it just this window here that was
Right.
there?
This dude was sitting right there,
Okay.
so they saw the whole thing.
Okay.
Yes. The policeman wants to talk to you.
No. You're in court. You're the owner?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fantastic.
He's the manager.
For this window here, how much do you think it costs to repair that?
That'll probably be a couple of $1,000. I guess there's a bullet hole on the bottom and they saw,
So two, right?
yeah,
Okay. All right, let me go over there.
somebody.
Are you guys okay?
I got a little glass in my elbow, but just pull me out with it.
All right.
There's a round right there still.
Yeah, it's still in the window right there, yeah.
I don't know where the other round went.
Is there anybody inside here hurt?
No one is hurt. I just have someone, a lady that was taken up.
Okay, so nobody in here was shot? Nobody? No, okay. Excuse me. No victims in there. I think the only victim is the the security guard and 55's with him, so I think we're all good.
Where's this information on the second?
Security, so but there's nobody in there. We already have a 34 in there, so as far as we know, everybody's taken care of. Thank you, guys.
Can I get your statement, sir?
We were just sitting at the table with my feet still on there. He was sitting on this table right in here, and he had his head down. And then we heard some commotion, and then my back to him was two of them, but they just got pushed into me, and they said you got to leave. And so the security guy came in, and he was starting.
So he was in Fuddruckers, not Sergeant.
Yeah, he was right here in front. He was literally at that table right here, and so he was just laying there, but because they didn't want, I guess, homeless people or whatever. Sure. And I think the guy might have been kind of obstinate or something. I don't know. And he was and he told him to get out. And then when he came out here, he started pushing him and forced him out because I guess
The guy with the bandana pushed.
No, the security guy. Thank you.
Pushed him into the double doors.
And so.
So hard the double doors almost like broke.
Okay.
Slammed him into the door.
And then what happened?
And then here, and chasing him out here.
Well, the security guard also threw him on the ground. And the kid got up. And then the kid started walking around that way, and the security guard followed him.
Okay.
And they were like this.
Just yelling.
Well, yeah. I mean, he was pushing him around. And he was walking around. Once he got around to the sign, I thought the security guard come through the bush. He came running through the bush, and that's when the shots.
You heard gunshots?
Yeah, and I'm sitting there watching the whole thing. I said, "Oh, what's happening?" He's running.
Okay.
And then the kid pulled out the gun.
I really appreciate
I didn't see the kid pull
information.
out the gun because he was behind the sign.
Okay. Would you guys be okay if I grab your IDs and everything so that I can list on my report as witnesses to try to help out the security guard who got shot? The more information we have, the better it helps. As far as I know, he's okay, and they're taking him to the hospital. But I haven't seen him, so I'm not sure. But we got the young kid. He thought he was fast. I'm faster. What we gathered sounds like the suspect was inside the Fuddruckers, just kind of like sleeping.
Yeah.
They called security over to tell him, like, hey, have him leave.
Yeah.
Security showed up with a little record thing, hey, dude, you need to leave, you need to leave.
Yeah.
Kind of like pushed him outside.
Yeah.
Walked him through here out to this area.
Yeah.
The witnesses saw the security guard running back through the bushes over here and hear 4 gunshots. I have casings 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
And then
An empty one.
Around here.
Okay. Well, they said they heard 4,
Yeah.
but with only 3 actual spent bullets, we have 3 bullet holes in Saggio. One that went into the wall and is down on the ground, one in the middle of the double pane.
As a witness, you hear a bunch.
Yeah, and then one that went through the
You
glass.
say, oh, I heard 4. If there's only 3, close enough. It's not like they're like, I
And
heard 20.
the one that's fragmented on the ground and hit the wall is probably the same height as where it went through on his leg, because it went through and through.
So Bubba's going to UNMH with the dude.
Like getting him up, he kind of pushes him. Dude like just reaches down like this, grabs a gun. Security guard bolts through the. You can't see it here, but he bolts through the bushes. Dude just punches out, fires rounds.
Yeah, I got you. Thanks, bro.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
You guys know where he's at? Where the guy's defender's at?
No, where's he at?
He's across the street from the Aspen there.
All right, so not much else to see with that footage there. So a lot to unpack on this video. So let's start with the officer coming in to the scene where injured security is on the ground and his partners are trying to tend to him. So here we have one security removing his inner belt to make an improvised tourniquet. And of course, you notice that the duty belt completely just falls and drops to the ground. And the lapel mic is still attached to the vest, but The radio is in the belt, so now the lapel mic cord is all super stretched out. Trying to improvise a tourniquet is something that you can do. However, it should not be your first option in today's age. Over 20 years of warfare has shown to us that tourniquets are an effective tool for stopping massive hemorrhaging in the extremities. Used to be, tourniquets were seen as a last ditch thing. Like I remember when I went through EMT school, this was at the very, very beginning of the early 2000s. And, the war had just kicked off, and, it hadn't gotten to the point where so many casualties were being seen on roadside IEDs. I mean, there were some, but it hadn't got to the point where all the information had been gathered and collected, and all the changes made, and then all those changes rolling down to people stateside and becoming a normal thing. So when I first went through EMT school, that was still the mindset, was tourniquets are a last option thing, because the mindset or the belief behind it was if you put on a tourniquet, you could cause death of the limb. Well, years and years of warfare, people being blown up, shot up, and tourniquets being rapidly used at the very beginning has not only saved people's lives, but it has been proven that you can leave a tourniquet on for a pretty long time and they can still keep the limb. So a lot of this myth behind tourniquets and losing limbs is, I think, probably a carryover from the Civil War era, where you had people with extensive injuries to their limbs and tourniquets being used, and then people just dying. And I think it's just kind of a happenstance thing that tourniquets on, and then also losing the limbs and everything. I think that's just a deficiency of the time period's medical care, right? Today, like I said, it is proven that tourniquets save lives, and you can keep them on for a long time and you don't lose a limb. So tourniquets are extremely popular now. I remember, and this was before there were any duty belt holders for tourniquets. I remember taking my, at that time it was a Cat 5 tourniquet, I guess, and on my duty belt, up there on the front of the buckle, on each side of the buckle, there's a gap, like a little wedge of space right there, where the duty belt folds back on itself, and it's just so thick it won't lay flat there. And that gap was where, one, I used to keep a Cubiton. I'd slide my Cubiton down in there, and that's where my keys were. But then I took a Cat 5 tourniquet, and I just shoved part of the tourniquet down into it, and I had that tourniquet midline on my duty belt. And I used to carry a tourniquet like that for a while, and then I went to an elastic TK4 tourniquet that was more concealable and keep it in the pocket, whatever, and just kind of looked better. And then later, the 1110 Gear and the other companies made these rigid tourniquet holders to go on duty belts. But back then, when I was doing that, no one else was in my area, to my knowledge, carrying a tourniquet. And in the training industry, the training industry and private security industry, the higher end private security industry, like contractors and stuff, you would see the promotion of tourniquets, right? Like you would see people wearing them, putting them on their kit, talking about, keeping it midline, etc., blah, 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 blah. But outside that, you didn't see a whole lot of officers and whatnot carrying these things. you would see the practitioners of some of these commercial firearm schools following the preaching, so to speak, and they would have, for example, TK4 tourniquets in their pockets and stuff like that. But you didn't see a whole widespread carrying of tourniquets. And then with more and more, instructors out there and popular instructors and advocates in the tactical community, whatever, just keep pushing it and pushing it, and then you keep seeing it grow more and more in popularity, starting to see more people wear them. Through the last, several years of reviewing body cam footage, you could kind of see this gradual increase of officers having tourniquets on their belts. And then now it's pretty uncommon to see people with duty belts that don't have a tourniquet on them somewhere, or a holster mount that has a tourniquet on it. Our academy here in Kentucky now, when officers graduate, they get a tourniquet. That's part of the thing now. So it's good that is happening. Unfortunately, there are still places out there. There are still police agencies out there, and there's still security companies out there that don't furnish tourniquets, and people who are working in those industries don't carry any. Or they are given one, and they do get one, but they keep it in the car, and they don't carry it on their person. So you can get a Cat 7 tourniquet at most $40, right? Go straight to the source, buy it from them. It's like $30-something. It comes to, certain times of the year, Labor Day sale, Memorial Day sale, 4th of July sale, hell, Black Friday coming up. There's going to be sales and stuff, right? So you can still save a few dollars if you wait then. But, it's not something that's going to break the bank. You think about, realistically, probably how much money you spend on fast food, getting coffee, whatever. You probably spend quite a bit of money, and you probably spend so much that you could probably afford 4 or 5 tourniquets. So stop being cheapskate. Go straight to North American Rescue and get yourself a Cat 7 tourniquet, and have it on you, right? You got to have it on you. If you prescribe to this mindset of keeping it in the car, well, what happens if you are no longer near your car? What happens if your car catches fire and it burns up with everything in it? What if you are so injured to the point where you can't even walk to your car? What are you going to do? So keeping it in your car, you might as well be putting it in a package and sending it to China and having it all the way across the world. You have to have that stuff on you. You wouldn't keep your gun in the car, right? Unfortunately, there are some people who keep their gun in the car, but working in law enforcement security, you obviously would not be of the mindset, well, I'll just keep my handgun in the car. If I need it, I can go get it. No. If someone said that they did that, you would look at them like they were stupid. And rightfully so. Well, that's how I look at you when you say, well, if I need a tourniquet, it's in the car. You're stupid. You're incredibly fucking stupid. Stop doing that. Keep the tourniquet on you. So, yes, you can improvise a tourniquet. However, it's not as good as an actual manufactured tourniquet that is designed to occlude blood flow. That's what a tourniquet is made for. It does it really good. A belt, a thick leather belt, doesn't do it as great. It's not as effective. It's not as efficient. You can kind of make it work, but it's just not going to work as good as an actual product made to do the thing. And when you think about this kind of scenario here, okay, sure, the scene's kind of secured. You can take the risk of taking your inner belt off and dumping your duty belt and reducing your mobility and everything by using your inner belt. Well, what if this is a more dynamic scenario and you're having to move some? Well, taking your belt off is, one, obviously causing the duty belt to fall. Even if you are able to throw it back on, the belt helps keep your pants up. So you run the risk of looking like a fool with your pants on the ground. And and that's not something that you want happening if it is a dynamic scenario and you're having to move quickly. If you're having to move quickly, you're going to be like the street thugs who are having to reach down and hold their pants as they are moving around to hold them up. Stop being a cheapskate. Buy a freaking tourniquet.
Here, guys, I got a tourniquet right here. Give me one of your bandages. Give me one of yours. You alright, buddy?
Okay, so security. Let's talk about security. The private security industry is a very large industry. I remember reading at one point there are more security guards here in the U.S. than there are police officers. It is a big industry. Each state is different with the regulation of the security industry. Some states have very strict standards in place, other states not so much. Some states, like my state and the Commonwealth of Kentucky, doesn't have any laws whatsoever on private security. Like, there is zero laws on private security in Kentucky. Nothing prescribing that there's any standards in place to be hired as security, no training standards, nothing, zilch, nada, not a thing exists. And there's a couple other more states like that. I forget which they are. But of the states that do have regulations, they vary as far as, like hiring standards, as far as like a person's background, what they need to have, criminal background stuff, things that would exclude someone from working in the industry, etc. So they vary. Even with those standards in place, because the industry is just so large, and they need bodies, they will often hire just damn near anyone. If they can barely pass the standards, they're in. And unfortunately, even if they don't pass any standards, they're still in. There was something in Tennessee within the last year or so where a company got in trouble for hiring and everything when they should not have been hiring people. When you think about the private security companies, they are really no different than a temp agency. When you have a company like a mall, a warehouse, factory, movie theater, whoever, and they call this security company and say, hey, we want staff. We want you to send us people to work for us. That is no different than them calling a temp agency and saying, hey, we need staff. Send people here to work for us. We'll pay you for them. It just so happens that security is kind of a more specialized temp agency. But at the end of the day, realistically, security companies are really nothing more than temp agencies. And many of them hire the very same people that you would expect to be in and out of temp agencies a lot. I know that sounds like a bad thing. It's kind of a cruel thing to say, but it's the fact of the matter. If you've ever been around people who work in temp agencies, etc., you understand what I'm saying. So there is lots and lots of people working in the security industry that realistically should not be working in that industry. But because there are minimum standards in place, minimum regulation, a lot of people end up working in that industry. Your big name companies, they are notorious for hiring bodies, right? Like if you got a pulse, you got a job. And Allied is just one of those companies that is notoriously known for that. In my area, Signal Security is another one of those big box companies that is kind of known for kind of hiring anyone. I have on my Facebook page, I have an entire album called Bad Security, and it is just filled with photos and videos of the goofiest security people all across the nation. And the biggest takeaway from that is these are people who are being hired to work security and have been working in some matter of time dressed and looking the way they are. And for example, one of the people in the album is, I forgot his name, but he's this this black guy who has this black trench coat, and he has all these knives and swords and daggers, and like I think he even has throwing stars on him. It looks, someone had joked and said he looks like Blade, the vampire hunter dude, or like a Temu version of Blade. And there's a lot of photos of this dude working at different places, and there's a video of these people talking to him, and he's showing his katana sword and some daggers on him, and these knives, and he's got like this big old revolver, and I mean, just like, you can tell instantly that there's something wrong with this guy. Like there's something mentally wrong with this dude. But there's enough photos and videos of him out there working at least 2 or 3 different places that this guy's being paid to go to places. Someone is hiring him, and that's kind of scary. So, security industry is very large, and they will hire just damn near anyone. And when it comes to malls and other places like that, they tend to go the cheapest route. And because companies like this, it is easy for them to go with this route, because companies like this, they bid very low. They do a very low bid. They go out and they'll do all kinds of bids, right? Like they could just go to all these different companies and get all these different contracts, and it kind of keeps them afloat, obviously. I mean, if it didn't, they wouldn't be in existence. So from a business standpoint, yeah, I guess they're making moves, and they're doing good. But because they bid it so low, it's easy for clients to say, yeah, I'll pay for that. That's a pretty good price. And clients don't really understand a lot of things. They don't know fully what they're getting. And a lot of times what they get is a complete crappy service. But they don't even know what they're getting. So, you can have a client go with a vendor and say, I need security, and they provide security, and this person shows up, they're in a uniform, they have a vest on, they have a duty belt and everything, a gun, and the client, who has no background whatsoever in security, law enforcement, nothing, doesn't know that the crappy nylon Uncle Mike's holster this person has with a high point pistol in it is a dead giveaway that the person is not a professional. But they have no idea, because they don't understand that stuff. That stuff is not a part of their wheelhouse, I guess you could say, right? It would be like, I'm not into watches and stuff, so it would be like trying to show me a few like high dollar big brand watches, and then showing me this Casio and I would have no idea, right? Like, I would know that some of them look better, but I wouldn't really know other than, the brand name stuff. Like, I just wouldn't know. Wedding venues, right? So wedding planners will buy different products from different vendors, and some stuff, when you think about plastic silverware, a lot of people don't think that there's a big difference in the kind of plastic utensils that you would get for eating, but there are some brands that are better than others, right? Like they have a smoother feel to them. They don't have those injection lines on there that protrude out. Some are better than others, and so a wedding planner person who has dealt with numerous of these would know right away what is good and what is bad. But someone like me trying to come into it and saying we need some plastic utensils, I'm going to go with a picture of something that I think looks fine and have no idea that it's good or bad or not, because I just don't have that experience behind it. And so, as I said, clients of security services are in this same boat. They don't know a damn thing about holsters. They don't know anything about gear, placement, none of that stuff. So when these funky security guards show up, they think, cool, these people are here, they're trained, they're licensed, whatever, we're good to go. And they have no idea that what has been sent to them is a freaking soup sandwich, like some freaking chewed up bubble gum. And many places get by in what I call fortuitous outcomes. They've just gotten lucky that nothing critical has happened. And so they feel good about the investment that they've made by paying a cheaper option. Like, oh wow, this $20 an hour guard is really great. Well, you've just got a lucky outcome because you haven't had anything tested so far. And in this kind of scenario, this is a testing moment, but will anything change? Probably not, because the client just doesn't know any better. The client doesn't understand these things. So they will probably still continue to do what they're doing and using who they're using. Shopping malls are notorious for using cheap security, unarmed security, and it looks like all of these security guards are unarmed. They don't have any guns whatsoever. And that's a big problem to me, especially when a shopping mall puts a no gun sign on their door, wanting to make their mall a gun-free zone. If you want me to disarm and walk into your mall, then your security needs to be armed. Especially in a mall that has had multiple freaking shootings in a year. That sounds like a pretty violent mall, in my opinion. I think this is an act of negligence on the mall's management part. It has been proven that the mall there is dangerous, but yet they are still choosing to use unarmed security. Wow, what good are they doing? They can't even protect themselves from violent offenders. How the fuck are they going to protect anyone else? And when someone pulls a gun, what do? They run away. And they still get shot. So in the officer's interview with people, the suspect was sleeping in the restaurant, and they came and got him and made him go outside. It sounded like they put his hands on him and made him go outside. And one of the officers said, and I thought this was a little jacked up, made the comment of they got a little rough with him. No, I wouldn't say that's...
Are you wearing 7 layers?
I hate these fucking advertisements. That's one plus side to having my videos being mostly tagged as unsafe for children is there's no freaking commercials in my videos. So you can come watch all my videos and never see a commercial, which is kind of good and kind of bad because I don't really make hardly any money off this stuff. But this guy was saying something about security was being a little rough with him. That's kind of subjective. It's kind of more of an opinion. Just like what I'm saying is more of an opinion. If a person is trespassing and they're told to leave and they're refusing to leave, you have the right to remove them from your property. Now, I don't know every single state's use of force laws, but I have read enough to know that a lot of the states here in the U.S. have very similar laws. And a lot of states, it's in the law that you can remove a person from your property if they are trespassing. And that's what security was doing. I don't know the full details of how the interaction went on, but in my experience, there have been people who just don't want to cooperate. They don't want to leave. They have a disdain for anyone of authority. They get an attitude, and especially and I've seen this happen with security before, if you got security that is typical mall security, unarmed, and I mean, come on. I don't think this guy looks the most intimidating, right? So yeah, people won't take certain security guards serious at all, and they'll buck up. So I'm sure that it probably had to get to the point where they had to use some physical force to get this guy to leave. And I have no problem with that. The problem I have is the fact that they're not properly equipped to deal with someone who becomes violent. So I didn't really care for the officer's comment saying that security was getting a little rough with him. Especially considering the fact that the dude pulled a gun and used it against them. All right, so talked about tourniquets, talked about security industry. Guess let's go into the suspect here.
Stand up for me, dude.
What's wrong with his, like, what's up with a stupid hairdo? I mean, it looks like a mop, right?
I just need to make sure you don't have a gun. Can you
looks stupid.
stand up for me, please? Police department.
Who the hell goes out in public like that? 17 years old with a gun. And they talked about how at this mall there had been 4 other incidents, or that maybe this was the 4th one, but anyway, multiple other occurrences of juveniles with guns. So looking at this guy, had I not mentioned or said anything about this guy being 17 years old, would you have thought that he was 17 years old? I mean, you might think it's possible, but my first thought would not have been that this guy's 17 years old. I would have thought he's early 20s. When it comes to juvenile offenders, the problem in our society with being able to understand the complexities of juvenile crimes and the juvenile system is the secrecy that surrounds the juvenile system. It is shrouded in secrecy. You can't go into juvenile court like you can other courtrooms. Like you could right now, you having no involvement in any criminal case whatsoever, can go down to your local courthouse, go into a courtroom, and watch the proceedings. Perfectly legal. You cannot walk into juvenile court and do the same. It's prevented. You cannot do open records requests for the most part on juveniles. You can get records, but they'll be redacted and they won't have their names or anything like that on there. A lot of agencies won't release juvenile names, any information on juvenile stuff, etc. And so, because of that level of secrecy, it's hard for the public to be able to follow cases involving juveniles because you just can't get any information on it. And so, think about if the same was done in the adult world. If you couldn't get open records on adults, you couldn't get mugshots, etc. Like, we would be so in the dark about the level of crime that goes on and who the perpetrators are. Think about some of your large national headlines. The Ukrainian girl murdered on the subway. What if you could not get her murderer's mugshot or his criminal history to even know what a failure the adult criminal justice system has been for that person? There was a guy here recently released from prison in Kentucky after murdering, I think, maybe as a 5-year-old. Like, he broke into this house, stabbed the whole family. The one family member died, a little boy. He went to prison for a very short amount of time and then was released. Released on mandatory reentry supervision. And then went to Florida, and Florida sheriff surrounded his house and watched and waited the 48 hours that he had to make the notification that he was a felon, or to register with him that he was a felon. And since he didn't do that, they scooped him up and took him into custody. That guy, what if you couldn't find out his criminal background? What if you couldn't get his mugshot and everything? The public would not know about that kind of stuff. So this is happening all across the nation with juveniles. You just can't go get juvenile stuff. Now, some states may show more than others. Tennessee actually will post mugshots of juveniles. Florida posts mugshots of juveniles, and I applaud that. That is great. The public needs to know who they're dealing with when it comes to certain offenders, especially violent offenders. The secrecy of juvenile system is a big problem. It shields them from the public being able to better understand what's going on. If you could take away the secrecy in the juvenile court system or the juvenile justice system, you would be ashamed at what goes on. I think the general public would come to a point and say, what the hell is going on? You have people like this, 17-year-old criminal offenders who are being put into the juvenile system and treated as if they are 5-year-olds. Because juvenile is a very broad definition. Juvenile is from birth up until 17 years, 364 days, 23 hours, and 59 minutes. That's a pretty long time. And anywhere in between that is juvenile. So whether you're 5 years old, you're 10 years old, or you're 17 years, 364 days, and 59 minutes old, you are treated the same. Now, there are some ways to charge older juveniles as an adult, but they still remain in the juvenile system and still have juvenile rules used against them. They still have the privacy for the most part, and their sentencing can be more geared towards treatment than punishment. So offenders like this, for example, here in Kentucky, juvenile offenders get 3 automatic pretrial diversions for misdemeanors and 1 automatic pretrial diversion for a felony, as long as it's not a murder or a rape. automatic. Like they don't have to do anything. It's a given. Other states have similar things in place. Also, in Kentucky, if a juvenile breaks into a house, steals a car, when police take them into custody, the police have to call a person known as a CDW, a court designated worker, to be able to get permission to lodge them into a detention facility. If that permission is not given, they have to release them to their guardian. And in many cases here in Kentucky, with how liberal our juvenile justice system is, they pretty much have to have a gun on them before they will be lodged by a CDW. Imagine if in the adult world, police had to contact pretrial services and ask for permission to lodge an offender into jail. How asinine would you think that is? The system is geared towards rewarding, enabling, and empowering criminal offenders, especially in the juvenile world. That should not happen at all. Juvenile offenders at this age need to be treated like adults. He's acting like an adult. He's out there doing adult things. There's no difference between him as a 17-year-old and someone who is 20, 21 years old. No difference other than the fact that he has been around the sun fewer times than someone older than him. But the violence, the mindset, the mannerisms, the stupid hairdo, there's no difference. There's really not. There are some very violent juveniles out there, some very violent adolescents out there, some killers, and the way our goofy juvenile justice system is, our juvenile laws are, it endangers the rest of the public. All because of the definition of juvenile. And it doesn't help that the word child is also used interchangeably in these contexts. There is nothing about this person that makes me think that they're a child. Unfortunately, there are such stupid, liberal-minded people out there that they truly believe that someone of this age and this stature is a child. They would refer to them as a child and say, no, they're a child. They shouldn't be confined. They need help. They're a child. No, this person is not a child. A child is someone between the age of being a toddler and someone between or before they reach puberty. It's right there in between toddler and between puberty. That's a child. After puberty, you are not a child. You're an adolescent. You're a young adult. But because we lack definitions and terminology in the juvenile justice world, we can't make any progressive movement forward to treat these offenders the way they need to be treated. And until those changes happen, these 17-year-old, 16-year-old, 15-year-old gangbangers out there, these street thugs, are going to be locked into the juvenile detention center with the 9-year-olds and the 10-year-olds and treated like the 9-year-olds and the 10-year-olds, where they get an afternoon snack, they get a bedtime snack, they get to go watch movies and listen to music and play on their fucking PlayStation. Treated like little kids. It's wrong. And it's wrong to put offenders like this in the same room with 9-year-olds. It happens. I've seen it. Our juvenile laws, our juvenile justice system needs a huge overhaul. But the thing that is stopping it from happening is the fact that the public has no idea what's going on. And they have no idea what's going on because of the secrecy that surrounds the juvenile world. So you notice that the officer had his gun out, ready.
Make sure you don't have a gun. Can you stand up for me, please?
Ready for the fight. Because they know who they're dealing with. They know they're dealing with a violent person who has shot at someone. I would say the only thing different that could have been done here, or that should have been done here, is the officer just should have pointed his fucking gun at him. Like, this person matches the description. You're obviously approaching them because you think it's them. You have enough forethought to have your gun out and ready in case it's needed. Why not just go ahead and simply point it at the motherfucker? Action beats reaction. And I think that it would have changed things as well. If he would have come up on him and had that gun bearing down on him and started off with loud verbal commands, get down on the ground, this could have stopped right here. He would have been overwhelmed. He would have been surprised and had the violence of action on him. And he may not have had the ability to formulate a thought or a plan on fleeing like this. Watch this badass cuffing.
You put something under the car. Gun's under there.
That needs to be in a handcuffing class. Like, there needs to be a video for teaching, how to handcuff. Like, that was freaking smooth. See that again.
You put something under the car. Gun's under there.
Very nice. But it's also easy to do that when you're using hinged handcuffs because they don't bobble around like the chains do. But still, nonetheless, very smooth cuffing. Now, let's look at everyone else here. Pistol. Of course, we know this guy's got a pistol. Only one dude with a rifle. You're responding to a shot-fired call. You're responding to a call where someone has been shot with a gun by a violent offender. Why do you not have your rifles out? Well, at least this guy has his rifle out. He's got the mindset to do it. We know this guy has a rifle because he has a freaking rifle mag on his duty belt. Where's his rifle at? Why didn't he grab it? Don't know. But I suspect it's probably because of bad training that instills bad mindset. All right. Let's see, was there anything else on this video? No, I'd say that's about it. So, if you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense, thank you for watching.